Hi, this is Cliff from Redwood Tutoring. I'd like to talk with you about factoring trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c. And this is just part one of this particular topic. Well, before I actually get to doing these type of factoring problems, I want to do some things that are going to serve as preliminary work. Let's suppose that I am looking for two different numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 9. I'm looking for two different numbers that multiply to 20 and add to 9. Now, see if you could come up with these numbers before I do for each of the problems that I write out. Well, 4 and 5 will do the trick. 4 times 5 is 20, and 4 plus 5 is 9. Now, it doesn't matter the order that you write it. If you wrote 5 and 4, that's fine. The order doesn't matter. Let's do a few more. So let's suppose that the numbers are 63 and 16. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 63 and add to 16. Well, 7 and 9 do the trick. 7 times 9 is 63, and 7 plus 9 is 16. A couple more. Something different happens when the top number is negative. Let's suppose that the top number is negative 18 and the bottom number is 3. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to a negative. Well, the only way that two numbers could multiply to a negative is if they have opposite signs, one of them being negative and one of them positive. Well, in this case, negative 3 and positive 6 will do the trick. Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18, and negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. See if you could get this next one. Negative 35 and negative 2. Well, here again, I'm multiplying to a negative. That means that they have to have opposite signs, one being negative and one positive. Here, negative 7 and positive 5 will do the trick. Let's do two more of these problems. Go ahead and erase the board to give myself some space. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 40 and that add to negative 13. Well, because they multiply to a positive number, they have to have the same sign. They're either both negative or both positive. Well, in this case, they're going to both be negative because they're adding to a negative number. So in this case, what I'm going to have is negative 8 and negative 5. Negative 8 times negative 5 is positive 40. Negative 8 plus negative 5 is negative 13. Here's the last one. See if you could get this one. They're multiplying to 77 and they're adding to negative 18. Well, here again, they have to both be negative. And negative 7, negative 11, those do the trick. Negative 7 plus negative 11 is negative 18. Negative 7 times negative 11 is positive 77. Okay, so you might be wondering, what does this have to do with factoring? Well, what I want to do is factor the following trinomials. The first one is x squared plus 7x plus 12. Well, when it comes to a problem like this, I'm going to draw that same x, and I'm going to go ahead and take this 12, and I'm going to put it here. And then the 7, I'm going to put it on the bottom. And I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 7. Well, those two numbers are 3 and 4. So the way that this breaks down is it breaks down into two binomials. And all that I do is I just grab the two numbers from here. So it's x plus 3, x plus 4. Now, this is going to be my final answer, and I'm going to box it. But it'll be helpful for us if I actually FOIL it out just to make sure that this works and to see why it is that I'm looking for that particular pattern. Well, FOILing gives me x times x, x squared, then x times 4, that's plus 4x, then x times 3, that's plus 3x, and then plus 12. Well, this is going to match up with what I have here, x squared plus 7x plus 12. And notice how these two numbers have to multiply to 12. That's why I put 12 up here. And they have to add to 7 because I need to have 3x and 4x, giving me the middle term of 7x. Okay, so let's see if we could do a few more. If I have the following trinomial, 5x plus x squared minus 14, well, you might think, first of all, this looks a little bit strange. We have to rearrange it so that it's in standard form. We want it to have descending powers of x, x squared, x to the first, and then no x. And now that I have this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my x, and I'm going to take the negative 14, and that's what goes on the top, and then the 5, and that's what goes on the bottom. I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 14 and add to positive 5. Well, those two numbers have to have opposite signs, one being negative and one being positive. Well, let's see here. It looks like this is going to give me negative 2 and positive 7. So I grab those two numbers, and those are included in my binomials. X minus 2 times x plus 7. Now, I want to encourage you guys, even if you don't actually write it out, please at least just FOIL in your head to make sure that this matches up. X squared minus plus 7x minus 2x, that gives me my plus 5x, minus 14, looks like it matches up. Now, before I do my final problem, I want to give you a caution. Caution. This technique that I'm showing you only works for trinomials of the form x squared plus bx plus c. If you happen to have something here, say a 2 or a 5, some coefficient to the x squared besides 1, then this technique doesn't work. We're going to have to do something different. Let me go ahead and do our final problem. The final problem is 5x squared minus 20x plus 15. Now, the first thing that you might notice is that it doesn't fit the form. I just said that the technique only works when we have a coefficient of 1, but here I have a coefficient of 5. But fortunately, I get a lucky break because 5 also goes into the other two terms. So what I'm going to do first is just factor out a 5. This is going to give me x squared minus 4x plus 3. And now this trinomial right here is in the form that we want. This trinomial is one that I could work with. For this trinomial, I'm going to grab the 3, and it's going to go on the top. I'm going to grab the negative 4. It's going to go on the bottom. Well, here they have to have the same sign. In fact, they both have to be negative. That's the only way they could multiply to a positive and add to a negative. It looks to me like -3 and -1 are going to do the trick. So don't forget to keep writing the 5. I'm going to write the 5 here, and then this is going to split into the following binomials, x minus 3 times x minus 1. Now let's just do a quick check, make sure. X squared minus x minus 3x, that gives me my minus 4x, and then plus 3. That looks great. This is going to be our final answer. Well, thanks for joining me. This is Cliff Nelson from Redwood Tutoring. Have a great day.